So let's start back from the beginning with our herbs of earth. Now, herbs of earth. These are herbs that will increase the earth energy in the body and check the energy of fire. Okay, so when we don't have enough earth, we take earth herbs to build earth within us. When we have too much fire, we can reconcile that too much fire. So when we go back to our discussion on excess fire, we can work with earth herbs to slowly check and cool down that fire without putting it out. You may have thought that working with water would be the solution to too much fire, right? I certainly would have raised my hand to that. Here's something to consider. When we sort of free ourselves from the conditioning that we're all supposed to be this perfect balance of all four elements, this perfect ideal of something, we realize that dumping water on a fire puts the fire out completely. Then we have zero fire. That's not what we want. We all want to be our own unique recipe of all four elements. So we don't want to put the fire out. We want to contain it. We want to give the fire a boundary and say, fire, you can burn here, but not here. You can take up this much space and burn this hot, but you can't have all of this space and burn this hot, right? And how do we do that with real fire? We build a fire pit. We put a ring of rocks around the fire to contain it. Rocks are earth energy. Or we dig a fire pit and say the fire can burn in here, in this held, defined space, which is very earthy, as we explored in the cave journey, right? And that's where the fire gets to be. So we're not putting the fire out, we're controlling it, we're taming it, or what we say, we check the fire. So herbs of the earth have something in common. They're all very nourishing. They're the herbs that are rich in minerals and vitamins, often deep green. They are nutrient dense. When I tell you some of them here in a minute, you'll be like, I totally get it, right? We, of course, will see that the deep earth energy herbs are going to be the ones that nourish our body. They're the food grade herbs. They're condensing energetically. They help the body become solid, like our bear energy, right? They bring us in, they get us into center, they ground us without grounding us. They're sweet generally. They have a sweetness, which in spiritual herbalism, this flavor of sweet is a building energy. They are often cool, right? Because the earth element is cool. It's like inside of that cave. They focus on the physical body, the dense, fleshy, solid parts of us, the bones, the tendons, the ligaments, the fascia, the skin, the hair, the nails. These herbs are holding. They help us contain our life force, contain our energy, contain our power. They're herbs that are tonic and building. Tonic herbs like adaptogens that are intended to be used long-term to build us up and fortify us, to make us strong like bear. And they often have a direct connection to the skin or the musculoskeletal system. Again, two body systems that are very, very, very earthy. Okay. Here's a few to talk about. Red clover. You know why red clover blossoms? That's what's in the picture there on the slide. You know why red clover blossoms are red? Because they are selectively absorbing so much iron from the soil that it actually colors the blossoms this red to purple color. Red clover is a cool, incredibly nourishing, incredibly centering plant medicine that is probably one of my favorite allies to work with when people are earth deficient. They don't have enough. They're in that spin out space where there's no commitment, no loyalty, no sense of self, right? We give them red clover. It will address physical issues that relate to a lack of earth, but also mental, emotional issues or life path issues. The herbs do not have a limit to what part of our lives they can heal. They are not limited to physical healing by any means. Licorice root. Here's an herb that brings sweetness, building. It's an adaptogen. It protects us from the damaging effects of stress, makes us strong and resilient like bear. while being sweet and building, giving us the solidity that we want in structure. Oats, both the straw and the milky oat tops, very mineral dense, right? Whenever we see minerals, we know there's something earthy. Minerals are always very cool and very condensing in the body. Burdock root. Burdock, incredible earthing herb. Now, burdock root, if you've ever harvested one, it's a workout because those tap roots will go, even for a small plant, 4, 5, 6, even more feet deep. So they're reaching deep, 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 deep down into the earth to bring up that incredibly earthy, cool, cleansing, detoxifying energy. One of my favorite herbal teachers, herbal elders, Robin Rose Bennett, talks about people who need to ground out, who need to settle, to go sit with a red clover plant and literally physically put your hands on the plant or tuck your hands down into the whirl of velvety leaves and allow that downward energy of earth to pull you into self, to ground you out. Dandelion root, cool, anti-inflammatory, has this downward movement in the body, very, very earthy. Now, the aerial parts of dandelion, the leaves, the flowers, it's a different story, but the root has earth medicine, earth energy medicine. Slippery elm, which is both sweet and dense, building, lubricating, which leans over into water energy a little bit, but earth always has that as well. And last but not least, horehound, one of my faves. You will, if you ever come to classes of mine where I have to talk for more than about 30 minutes, you'll see that I have this throat spray, which is very heavily horehound. It settles the dryness of too much air, too much speaking. It settles the overstimulation of the vocal cords from too much communication and the nervous excitement of presenting, right? So this is what medicine looks like in action. Formats of earth. So this is where we're going to discuss what ways should we work with medicine to best call forth that earthy energy. So first and foremost, gardening and foraging, going out and getting your hands in the soil. Remember that bear is tactile. Bear touches, right? So to have your physical hands, your bare feet in that cold, damp or cold, dry soil, getting your fingernails dirty, interacting with all of the different textures and feelings is very grounding and incredibly therapeutic medicine. When folks have an excess of fire or a deficiency of earth, oftentimes going for a walk around the block with bare feet, even on sidewalk, on cement, is enough to bring them back in. Let me give you a practical example here because it's so powerful. It's so simple, but so powerful. What is one of the most common expressions of an excess of fire we see in people? Anger. People get mad. And it's so funny because what do so many people say when they're angry, when they're really pissed off? I had to go for a walk. I had to go walk it off, right? So there's a knowingness in the body about how to do that, how to work this medicine. Let me invite you, if the weather is okay and you have good sidewalk, to go out and do that walk around the block to cool down, literally, to get back into yourself, to cool the liver, to shake off the anger. Do it barefoot. If you don't have that ability, go stand outside under a tree, bare feet on the soil, bare hands on the soil, and just let it go. Let that earth energy come in and check the excess fire that you're feeling. People who deal with hot, red, inflammatory conditions in the body, get as naked as you can and go lay on the bare earth. Do it for 30 minutes a day, and you will watch earth medicine come in and check that excess fire of inflammatory conditions. Hot, painful, sharp, painful, inflammatory conditions. The earth will heal you. The earth element will heal you. We want to work with earth element medicine through food. So cooking with these herbs, cook with the red clover, cook with the milky oats, make the oatmeal. bring these things into our nourishing faculties, because that's how earth element works. In medicine, herbal oils and herbal balms are really attuned to carrying earth energy. Remember, that's the fleshy, the earthy parts of the body, the skin and the musculoskeletal system. So these substances that we can rub on, that we can feel, that we can have a tactile experience that invite us to do maybe some self-massage or require us to kind of rub them in. This is all very perfectly earthy, right? So oils and balms. And then I like the idea too of sachets and amulets. So wrapping up a little bit of the dried herb and carrying it in your pocket, so that as you're feeling a deficiency of earth or grounding, or you're feeling too much fire, you can put your hand in your pocket and have a tactile connection. A little piece of, dried licorice root, or a little piece of cloth wrapped up with some burdock root or whatever, engages the tactile sense of earth, helps bring the earth medicine into the body, and calls in the plant medicine spirit of the plants you're working with too. States of earth, right? So what can we cultivate within ourselves to call in more earth energy, to carry more earth, meaning to enter into better relationship with earth, to work on our relationship with the earth element? Grounding, sit down. I don't mean grounding in like a metaphysical sense. I mean, put your bare skin on the earth, ground out, let your electricity and the electricity of the earth find harmony. Cool down, allow yourself to be cool, to maybe, go outside and take a walk around the block, even when it's a little chilly outside, and really embrace the coolness, really like lean into how that feels. Be still. Let your body rest without sleep for no reason, but with intention. Just sit down and just be still. It's amazing how much the body will communicate with you when you just let it be quiet for a minute. Move slower. This is a great way to quell excess fire and invite more earth. Move more slowly. Think more slowly. Take your time. When you find yourself spinning out and hurrying and being a fire that's burning too bright, be like, you know what? I'm going to force myself to just take these steps more slowly, like a bear, one pat after the other, right? It's very uncomfortable at first. And then you get into it and you realize like, oh, there's so much power in stepping this way. There's so much power in moving through my to-do list this way. And then last but not least, silence or ambiance, putting on some ambient music, something that's not requiring your brain to think, or is not engaging you or getting you fired up, but is inviting you back into that cave, into that stillness where things are so quiet, you can hear yourself breathe. It's a very powerful experience. Again, those are the moments when the body will very much communicate with you and give you feedback about how it's feeling.